Welcome to one of my book review segments where I review books in the technical and cybersecurity genre. Today, I will be reviewing Ben Clark's Red Team Field Manual. I would just like to remind everyone that the views and ideas expressed in this video are my own, and this is my personal channel. This book can be found on Amazon in Computers and Technology. It's 96 pages. This book came out in 2013, 2014. In 2008, 2009, the configure worm propagated to millions of Windows PCs worldwide using custom RPC requests to launch buffer overflows and execute shellcode attacks on the target PCs. Configure exploited the admin share, it exploited Windows auto run mechanisms, and could exploit the server service in Windows endpoints. It could update itself, and it could uninstall other versions of itself, leaving a new version of itself behind. Configure was able to disable Windows security services and antivirus products where the target systems were more vulnerable than before. Then, in 2010, an attack known as Operation Aurora was uncovered. In Operation Aurora, 34 organizations were victimized and suffered the theft of trade secrets and intellectual property. Google, Yahoo, Adobe, Symantec, and Northrop Grumman were some of those that were targeted. Operation Aurora was exploited through a zero-day vulnerability in Internet Explorer and was triggered after social engineering when the target navigated to a malicious website to drive-by download customized malware, quietly and stealthily without the user knowing. The attackers customized the malware per each company who was targeted. After the malware downloaded, it opened a remote encrypted backdoor channel that looked like ordinary SSL web traffic. Vulnerabilities in Adobe Reader and Acrobat applications were also exploited in Operation Aurora. The attack then went on a search mission, targeting source code repositories for exfiltration. The attack methods employed in Operation Aurora had been seen before against governments and defense organizations, but never against commercial targets until then. In that same year, in 2010, Iran's uranium enrichment plant centrifuges began to fail, and chaotic issues with other systems at the same plant were noticed, systems crashing and rebooting and crashing and rebooting, that sent workers on a tailspin to figure out what was wrong. This attack became popularly known as Stuxnet. Malware jumped into an air-gapped environment using a third-party compromise strategy in which USB sticks were used to infect companies that were connected with Iran's nuclear program. This attack included methods like infecting files used to program Siemens programmable logic controllers, or PLCs, and those industrial control systems containing the PLCs were targeted. The threat sample of Stuxnet that security companies analyzed was dense and fascinatingly devoid of careless bugs. It was said to have been 20 times the size of the average piece of malware code and contained several 0 days. As part of the malicious design, the code needed low-level access to Microsoft Windows, and in order to get that access for programs, programmers need a legitimate digital certificate. So the attackers actually stole the digital certificates that they used to sign the code. Stuxnet infected systems and plants around the world. It performed reconnaissance because it wasn't looking for just any target. It was looking for its high-value targets. This was the first case of the use of an offensive attack with a cyber weapon. In 2011, we saw the 13 million ATM cash out. Fidelity National Information Services, or FIS, who provided core banking services to over 14,000 financial institutions across the world, was hit. The multi-million-dollar heist involved credit card cloning, a broad network intrusion, and removing withdrawal limits on a handful of accounts. Auditors uncovered widespread unremediated vulnerabilities at FIS and problems with security implementation and integration due to many mergers and acquisitions. In the same year was the PlayStation network breach of 77 million accounts. And there was also the LinkedIn hack of 6.5 million user account passwords. Let's not also forget that during the 10 years that led up to the publication of this book, of the Red Team Field Manual, the methods and practices of ethical hacking were culminating into a discipline. In 2003, the Open Web Application Security Project, or OWASP, published its testing guide. In 2008, NIST published their SP 815, which is the technical guide to information security testing and assessment. In 2009, the Penetration Testing Execution Standard, or PTES, was developed to provide guidance to the industry related to scoping and performing security assessments. This is the history that preceded the publication of this book. What might have been happening that caused Ben Clark to create the Red Team Field Manual? We can only speculate. Was it his work as a cybersecurity professional driving him to create something that he would find useful and carry into the field? Did he say one day, I wish there was a field manual. I want a field manual. I think I will create a field manual for what I need. I know others will be able to use it too. We can only speculate. And this is only speculation. Some cybersecurity certification will also allow you to use books that you've written or self-published as continuing education credits to maintain your certificates. Whatever the mixture of reasons were, we can certainly appreciate it. I had seen this book for a while on Amazon. At first glance, I thought it was someone's manifesto. But upon closer inspection, I realized it was a penetration testing book. I bought this book after I passed my Pen Test Plus from CompTIA in my quest to expose myself to as much as possible and to gather some of the classics into my library. At the time of shooting this video, the cost on Amazon was $4 to $14, depending on if you bought it new or used. When I received it, I picked it up from my mailbox. It came in an envelope, and I was pleasantly surprised by the small size. The compact size meant that I could carry it with me on the road or in my laptop bag. This book is 96 pages long. It has a one-page index and a table of contents, which has about 10 what I would call chapters. Each chapter contains methods, references, and operating system commands and tool commands that can be used during a red team engagement or pen test engagement. The sections are Unix and Linux, Windows, networking, tips and tricks, tool syntax, web, databases, programming, wireless, and references. Although some of the information is dated and some commands may not work, there is more than enough within the book that is helpful and relevant. Hi, everyone. If you like this video, please click thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Please also drop a comment below because I'd like to know, do you have this book? What do you like about it? Are there other field manuals that you use? Have you made your own yet? And do you plan to? This book wouldn't have helped me pass the CEH or the Pen Test Plus, but it does make reference to many tools that are discussed in the study materials for those certifications. For example, I was pleased to see tools mentioned in the book that were also touched on in the Pen Test Plus study guides. AirmonNG, Browser Exploitation Framework, EtterCap, Metasploit, HPing3, Hydra, Kismet, John the Ripper, Netcat, Nmap, Scapy, TCP dump, and proxy chains. My favorite chapter of the Red Team Field Manual was the tips and tricks chapter that had things like data exfiltration over ICMP, reverse shells, persistence and tunneling, remote payload deployment over SMB or WebDAV. In this book, you won't find any explanations or prose. This is a book of raw, command notes that is well organized and gives us an insight into the categories, commands, and methods of an experienced security tester and ethical hacker. Anything that I find in this book that I need more information on or an updated command, I can just Google. The most important takeaway from this book is that a field manual is a tool. They can be in book form or digital, and you can make your own. And you can certainly add to what works for you. I'm glad that I bought this book because it helped reinforce some of the importance and significance of certain tools. It helped me see how an ethical hacker categorizes things that they find important, and it plants the seed as you move forward into your security testing and assessment practice, that you too can begin to accumulate commands and resources that you use and put them in your own field manual. Happy reading, friends.